Hey y'all, today I'm going to be looking at Hebrews 11, and over the last couple of months I've been studying Hebrews, and my passage for this week happened to be Hebrews 11, and I think it's a perfect way to start off the new year because it is about faith. And in my Bible it's titled By Faith, and I know in some Bibles it's titled Heroes of Faith, but it kind of gives a brief summary of different Bible characters and their stories, and it begins each of their story off with by faith in their name. So for example, it says, by faith Abel, by faith Enoch, by faith Noah, and then it goes on and tells their stories. And so I think it's really cool to look at their example because the defining characteristic of these characters was their faith. They got it right. Their faith is what carried them through life, and some even say after death. But today I'm going to focus on Moses, and his story starts in verse 23. And it says, by faith Moses, when he was born, was hidden for 3 months by his parents because they saw that the child was beautiful, and they were not afraid of the king's edict. By faith Moses, when he was grown up, refused to be called the son of Pharaoh's daughter, choosing rather to be mistreated with the people of God than to enjoy the fleeting pleasures of sin. He considered the reproach of Christ greater wealth than the treasures of Egypt, for he was looking to the reward. By faith he left Egypt, not being afraid of the anger of the king, for he endured as seeing him who is invisible. So Moses was known by his faith. Moses had everything in Egypt if you've read his story. He had servants, he had wealth, he had comfort and power, but he gave all of this up because the Lord called him to free the Israelites. So it's important to recognize that Moses had the right motives. He stepped down from power to follow the Lord when he could have kept building his own kingdom. It says in verse 26, he considered the reproach of Christ greater wealth than the treasures of Egypt, for he was looking to the reward. Reproach kind of means rejection, and so it's saying that he considered being rejected because he was a follower of God as being greater than the life and wealth and comfort that he had in Egypt. But I kind of want to focus more on the last part of verse 26, which says, for he was looking to the reward. If you read the story of Moses, you'd see that he does get to see the promised land and he does free the Israelites. But it's also important to recognize that he was rewarded along the way because he got to be such a mighty piece in God's story and plan of freeing the Israelites. So I think that this is super important to apply at the beginning of this year because we can forget 2020 if it was a bad year for you. And focus on the reward. The reward for us, I think, is eventually heaven or Jesus' return, but I think on a daily basis, the reward is just us following Christ and being able to walk with Jesus every day. In verse 6 of Hebrews 11, it says, and without faith it is impossible to please him, for whoever would draw near to God must believe that he exists and that he rewards those who seek him. Once again, it's calling us to check our motives because it says without faith it is impossible to please God. And then it says that we must draw near to him and believe that he exists and that he rewards those who seek him. And it says when we remain faithful daily with the little things and draw near to him, the Lord will reward us. In this new year, let's be faithful and draw near to him and focus on the reward that is walking with Jesus and that is being able to be a follower of Jesus and that is being a part of God's story.